One question to Dr. Parvezi. With the theories which you have shown us about dysbiosis and other things, what can be the role of probiotics, the gut inflammatory drugs like salazopyrin and proton pump inhibitors, because you say that there is the gut membrane problem. So these three drugs will have a role in the future, you think?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Deepak. So for terminology and for some of the young people in this room, there is prebiotic. This is usually fibers that you feed to enhance the gut microbiota. There is probiotics, which is live bacteria that you give to the patient. There is postbiotic, which is usually a metabolite of some sort that you're trying to neutralize. And there is symbiotic, which is probiotic and prebiotic combined. So the symbiotic administration appears to have the most effect in changing the gut microbiota. And the best prebiotic that we know at the moment is the human milk oligosaccharide, HMO. The penguin study that I referenced yesterday that's been done in Australia, they're using a different type of probiotic. These are being administered for treatment of some conditions already, and there are some clinical trials ongoing at the moment, including 2 that we're running in Turkey. I think we'll have an answer in a year or so, but your point is absolutely very important. Future is going to be administration of some of these biological manipulation before or after surgery, particularly for patients with PJI. Because what we're doing is we're administering these broad spectrum antibiotics for 6 weeks, killing all the lactobacilli and favorable organisms in their gut, making the epithelial barrier of the GI tract even more penetrable, and then expecting these patients to do well, and they don't really bounce back ever. That explains why we have 20-30% failure rate.
So,
Can I
two
ask
questions.
one
Yeah. Go on, Krishna, after you.
So I want to ask Dr. Parvezi, I think there's a lot of interest in peptides now. You have the retatrutide, MOTC, and all these things which are going through phase 3 trials. Do you think that in the future, with chronic infections, you optimize the metabolism and hormonal profile by using them for a few weeks, and once that get optimized, then you operate them, easier maybe than.
So in Istanbul, we have data on over 1 million patients, their gut microbiota. It's done as a commercial test. It is a wellness test. And interestingly, we looked at some of those patients and looked to see what happened to them. There are like now microbes that are associated with developing colon cancer, microbes associated with development of diabetes, etc., etc. So in the future, I think we're going to know which patients are at risk of major complications after surgery, including infection. But most importantly, in patients who have developed infection, instead of giving them some sort of broad spectrum antibiotics, we're going to actually also add a biological manipulation to try to bring their biodiversity back to normal. For example, just very quickly, Lactobacillus sakei is one very, very good microbe in the gut. Lack of Lactobacillus sakei leads to a lot of complications, including surgical site infection. So administration of that probiotic, for example, could change the course of these patients.
Yeah, one quick question, Jay. Excellent talk. You spoke about the microbiome and you did made a passing reference to genome. So what is the exact basis of the genome? I'm sorry for this basic question, but even microbiome is so new to me and probably to many of us. So what is this genome and how does it affect PJI?
So genome is what we inherited, and genome determines your microbiome. We're all born with almost the same.
So like the genes we have, so that's the genome.
However, the epigenetics or the environmental factors is what you could influence. So your diet, modulation in diet and biological manipulation of your environment can influence which of those genes get inherited, get expressed. Exactly. Modified or expressed, and what doesn't. So as they say, gene is the gun that's handed to you, and microbiome is the trigger. So you have to really think about what microbiome or environmental factors you can implement to try to influence the disease. FMT science, the fecal matter transplant, has gained huge amount of attention in the West at the moment. Conditions like chronic inflammatory bowel disease, eczema, even depression. You know, Morganella morganelli was found in a Harvard study to be associated with intractable depression. Changing that biodiversity resulted in resolution of depression in these patients. A Nature paper a month ago. So the future is going to be very, very different.
Thanks.
What I said yesterday about osteoarthritis, we're just scratching the surface. There are studies right now, randomized prospective studies showing that biological manipulation is very effective in alleviating the symptoms of osteoarthritis.
And
Thanks.
Jay, if I'm right, a few years back, one of the Nobel Prize was given to diagnose the peptic ulcers were not caused by the stress and anxiety, but they were actually caused by the bacteria.
H. pylori.
Yeah, that's Robin Warren and Barry Marshall from Australia, Perth. And by the way, Perth has one of the most spectacular centers for microbiome at the moment. They continue to publish in highly scientific journals. Their work was rejected when they said back in '84 that in those days Campylobacter pylori is associated with gastritis. They were thrown off the podium. They were ostracized by the scientific community, and their work got Nobel Prize 24 years
To
later.
one question from microphone 4, short of
So what
time,
is
so
the-
Ravi, you can talk to Parvezi later.
I'd like to know the consensus of the panel in managing 3C pelvic discontinuity regarding acetabular distraction, cup and come technique, custom tri-flange, and vis-a-vis cup cage construct. So we have had 3 demonstrations. What is your preferred choice to deal with 3C?
We don't use Wayne's distraction technique per se, but we under-ream before, so we under-ream by 2 or 3 millimeters to put the cup in, so we get distraction that way, and then we add the cage. So I would say still a cup cage under those circumstances. So I believe in distraction, but I don't believe it as the end stage of the technique.
Yeah, it's not one or the other, unfortunately. I think the distraction technique does allow you to use a jumbo cup in a few more percentage points of the case, but it doesn't allow you to use it in every case, right? If you get distracted, you sort of put your trial in, let things relax, you go, okay, that's enough fixation, and I don't need a lot more. But you say, that's pretty good, but not great, and you go to the cup cage. So it's not one or the other, it's a continuum from a jumbo cup to a distraction to a cup cage or augments, etc.
We did the study on this international consensus meeting on this subject, and the literature finding was the distraction technique was also accepted, the cup cage construct, and the jumbo cup with the distraction technique was the preferred one.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv.